Don't let these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. I hope everybody had a great Juneteenth / Father's Day weekend. I really enjoyed my weekend. As some of you may know, most of you may know, I am a father and had opportunity to not only spend time with my son, but my mom and sister came down to Myrtle Beach to spend a little time with your boy too. So shouts out to them, man. It was a great time, always fun. Had opportunity to even do an event. We took part in the Juneteenth festival for the radio station I work at, WLGI. So it was a fun-filled weekend, man. And not to mention, yesterday I was off for Juneteenth. So I'm really enjoying it. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit under the weather, folks. I got a little sniffle and a cold. I've been coughing all day. Have been taking some meds, but I did want to do a show because it's been a while since I've done one. But I am going to be taking phone calls. I'm going to leave it in the hands of you all tonight to kind of lead the way, because your boy, once again, I started talking a little bit too much, started coughing and sniffling. So we're going to be talking about, on this edition, we're going to be talking about the number 2 cornerback competition that's taking place, has been underway since the beginning of the offseason, that involves cornerbacks Alontae Taylor and Paulson Adebo. Paulson Adebo came to the NFL a year before Alontae Taylor did. Alontae Taylor came into the league in 2022, Paulson Adebo in 2021. And this is one of those competitions that, it's like iron sharpens iron. It's one of those situations where both guys are extremely talented. Both guys are really, really good. And there are really no losers in this situation, because regardless, both of these guys are going to see the field. In what capacity and how much is the question. So that is the question on this edition of the State of the Saints podcast. And we're going to be answering Paulson Adebo or Alontae Taylor. Which one would you choose and why? I talked a little bit about this on the little short podcast that we did last time. And, some people were saying that I was tripping, and because, Alontae Taylor is better than Paulson Adebo in the discussion, ain't nothing to talk about. But my only question was, how do you know this? Like, how do you know that this guy is better than Paulson Adebo? I mean, both of these guys have been into the league for a short period of time. So I'm like, how in the world can anybody know that one is better than the other? Both of these guys are equally talented. Both of these guys have good traits. Both of these guys have not so good traits. Both of these guys have made plays, and there sometimes where both of these guys have been liabilities. But I don't think that anybody can just, definitely and emphatically say that one is better than the other. But I'm going to give people opportunity to speak and give their thoughts on that, who they feel will win this competition and who they feel is the better cornerback. We're going to be opening up the phone lines really soon. But in the meantime, I want to answer some of your questions. This is not going to be a long show, of course, folks, but I do want to hear what you all have to say about this competition. Let's see. Let me scroll down. Let's start with Roderick says Team Adebo right here. Says, hey, TJ, got an herbal remedy that will put that cold out of your misery. Well, I'm open to hearing what you got to say, because one, I don't like being sick. Number two, is affecting my throat, making it sore. So everybody knows, I talk for a living, so definitely don't want to be out of commission with a sore throat. I had some chloroseptic that I took this morning. I've been taking some Mucinex during the day. My wife brought some NyQuil home, so your boy gonna go night when this is all said and done. Try to sleep this thing through, because it's been rough, man. And I hate being sick. I hate being sick with a passion. Cornerback number 1, Taylor. Cornerback number 2, Adebo. Adebo had a sophomore slump. He will have a bounce back third season. I'm thinking Adebo will likely come out on top. Don't forget, I'm saying it first, Derek Carr will pass for over 4,000 yards, and the Saints will break their franchise season wins. Yes, I'm a true believer. Well, Carlton, there ain't nothing wrong with that. Look, I'm not here to knock anybody about their feelings and their views. I'm not doing that. I can understand why people are so excited about this team and what they're putting together. But I'm one of those people, I want to reserve my judgment, but I'm hoping that you're right, to be honest with you. Let's see. Carl Crank is about to have a sophomore slump. I don't know exactly who is that. Let's see. That's nice sentiments, Carlton, but I can't believe a lie as easily as I can tell one. Well, look, like I said, it's not a bad thing to be excited, about this team. I can understand why people are excited about this team and with the direction that they're going in. So I'm not going to knock anybody if they have high expectations for the team. We all should, based on, what they brought to the table. But we had high expectations last year, and look what happened. They both had really good rookie seasons. It's too early to compare them now, in my opinion. Let's see what they do this year. Yeah, it really is. I don't understand like how anybody could, say one is better than the other. I would prefer somebody say I want that one over the other, but to say I've had conversations with people like, man, Alontae Taylor is better than Paulson Adebo. Like, Alontae Taylor just got into the league, and I went back and I watched some of them games, man. Alontae Taylor made some good plays, but he struggled too. Just like Paulson Adebo had some good plays and he struggled. So I honestly feel like, and I'm not trying to knock anybody, and I'm not trying to disrespect anybody. I don't want anybody to feel like I'm saying that you don't understand the game and all that kind of stuff. But I do understand that we can be prisoners of the moment from time to time. When we want something so badly, we drown out anything else that will take away from our thoughts and our opinions about a certain thing or a certain person. And I just think that Alontae Taylor's personality is one of the main factors why people like him as much and a little bit more than Paulson Adebo, because it can't just be about play. I can understand Alontae Taylor is a very animated guy. He's a boisterous guy. He's confident. And, Paulson Adebo he has confidence too, but he's not one of those guys that's just out there toting the drum and, and letting everybody know that he's here like Alontae does. And I just think that the confidence that Alontae Taylor has, it kind of helps him, jump to the front of the line over Paulson Adebo. It can't just be about play. Because once again, both of these guys got good qualities. Both of these guys got things they need to work on. So I'm just wondering, like, when people say, man, Alontae Taylor, That's just it. He just much better than Paulson. I'm like, how do you know this? But let me go ahead and put the link in the chat here. Once again, I apologize, folks, if I'm not as boisterous or as animated as I normally be on these shows. But like I said, it just dealing with this cold here, and hopefully we can get through this really, really quick. Not the show. I'm talking about this cold. As I wipe my nose. But let me read some more before we open up the phone lines here. Let's see. It says, "What's up, TJ? Love the show. My 2 cents is this is a great problem to have. Either one can play and provide starter depth." Well, both of these guys can do. Like I said, I agree with you what you're saying. 504. This is a win-win situation for the team and the fan base. Like I remember a time where we just wish that we had one cornerback. Now we have at least 4 on this team that are capable of playing on the inside and out if you add Bradley Roby. So I mean, this is a good problem to have versus the times where the Saints had cornerbacks on this team and these guys couldn't stop nobody, right? So good problem to have. We're gonna go to Jerry. Jerry, how you doing, man?
What's going on, TJ? How you feeling, bro? I heard you got a cold, bro.
Yeah, man, a little cold, man. Been coughing periodically and sniffling, man. So hopefully I can get through this. And
You will.
It's cool, man. I mean, it
You will. Hey, let me tell you like this: as long as them Falcon fans ain't giving you no cold, we good.
Nah, man, it's nah, they ain't giving me no cold, man. But yeah, so hopefully we can get. Like I said, man, I just don't like being sick. But all in all, man, I mean, look, I'm gonna get through it. Just take this medicine and just take it day by day. But how you been, man? How was your weekend? How the family doing?
Everybody's doing good, TJ. I had a good birthday last weekend. Father's Day weekend was good. Juneteenth was good.
Yeah.
But we've been having some rough weather lately. I know we had some storms on Monday, and
man.
And prayers out to Jackson County in South Mississippi. Prayers go out to them.
Yeah, man. When my mom them stay out there in Vicksburg, they had like storm kind of came through there, knocked down some trees. People don't have power as of right now, so prayers going out to people of Vicksburg. Dealing with that. Yeah, man, it's been rough, man, all over. I mean, it's been storming here all day as well, man. So people that's staying in these areas, man, be careful out there. Be careful. Listen to the National Weather Service. Don't be trying to be a hero. Things can't be replaced. If you ever been facing that situation, there's only one you. You know what I'm saying? They make those TVs and them cars a dime a dozen. Just want to let y'all know that. But Jerry, what you got for us, man?
Yeah, just to close out on that, everybody's recovering right now. Everybody getting their power lines back up. So that's good news. I just saw it on the local news. But about this cornerback battle between Paulson, Adebo, and Alontae Taylor, I'm going to give the CB1 to Taylor because that dude right there, TJ, if some of y'all, and shouts out to everybody in the chat, who that to y'all. If y'all saw the Saints play the Raiders last year, Alontae Taylor, who nobody knew, came out of nowhere and shut down Devontae Adams. I mean, TJ, Taylor wouldn't give Adams an inch to try to do something. That's why I got him at CB1 because that dude's a dog.
Yeah.
That's why I'm giving CB2 to Adebo. He proved me something, but when Taylor came in, that changed the whole platform.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you this. Okay, who was the first wide receiver that Alontae Taylor lined up against in the first game?
That was
DeAndre Hopkins, right?
Yep.
Okay, and then the second week it was Deontay Adams, right? It was Adams, right?
Devontae Adams, yep.
Who was the first wide receiver Paulson Adebo lined up against? Devontae Adams, week 1 versus the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Right? And he caught an interception off Aaron Rodgers.
I remember. Yeah, that's when
we
Saints gave the Packers that 38-3 beat down in Jacksonville.
Exactly. Like he was a part of it. So
Pac-Man, what's up, man?
Say who that?
Who that?
All right.
Who that?
All right.
What's up, nephew?
So what you got, man? The night before the dentist. Okay, we're gonna read that one tonight. Okay, after Daddy finished this show.
Oh,
But
that's a good one.
Yeah, man. But yeah, like I said, man, both of these guys. Look, both of these guys. If you want to put like resumes up against one another, they both got. You know what I'm saying? They both have a resume. You know, even though that is short, they still have. You still can make a case for either one of those guys. I mean, look, I like both of them. Like,
yeah, me too.
I'm not one of those people that's like, man, I want this person over. Like, it's win-win to me because both of them to me have that dog mentality. Both of those guys have that energy that you look for. I just think that when it comes to Alontae Taylor, I feel like Alontae has like he's more boisterous, and because of that, it makes him stand out a little bit more than Paulson. Paulson is more of a guy who's soft-spoken, but he can go out there and he can ball out. Yeah, so I mean, look, but I don't got no problem with Taylor at all, man. I think that both of these guys are what the Saints actually need going forward, and quite honestly, you know, this could be the future of the Saints secondary. You know, 1 and 2 respectively. Once because you know, I mean, Lattimore going into his 7th year, so it might become a time where both of these guys are 1 and 2 respectively. So there we go.
Hey, but look, hey, let me tell you this, TJ. As long as they make that secondary the most dominant secondary of the New Orleans Saints, I don't care if Taylor is number 1 or Adebo is number 1. Both of them out there playing their asses off. Right. And I'm telling you, bro. And you got these young people, you got these young corners that's coming in to fill that gap, because if you put them with Taylor and Adebo with Lattimore, fella.
Yeah, I mean, look, I just think the sky's the limit for this team, you know, and these guys. And I know for a fact, and I'm not trying to make excuses, but I know for a fact Paulson Adebo was way more injured than they made it out to be. I know this for a fact. And then the person that told me this is close to the team, and you know what I'm saying, and I respect their opinions. So I think a lot of the up and down had a lot to do with the fact that Paulson wanted to be out there on the field. He dealt with a high ankle sprain. It was much more than that than they let on. And I just think that it kind of affected his play, and it could change the perspective of how people feel about him. But I'm just saying, like, give this guy an opportunity because, man, the dude was like really, man, he was locking dudes down at training camp, you know. And then all of a sudden, all of a sudden, here come that high ankle sprain, and then all of a sudden, like, he wasn't the same player. So I just say, man, for people that just kind of writing this guy off because he went through a sophomore slump, I say give him an opportunity, man, because I wouldn't want and on the same, you know, and if the shoe is on the other foot, so to speak, if Alontae Taylor was to go out here and have a sophomore slump too, I wouldn't want people to like write him off either. You know, I just think that when guys come into the league, there's only so much film that you can watch, right? Because when guys play in college, you know, you understand a few of their tendencies, but when they get to the pros, you don't know what you're going to get. You might get a guy that gets beat constantly, or that guy might turn into Sauce Gardner. You know, like, you don't know until you actually put those guys out there and get them to play. So when you have a large sample size of their tendencies and the way that they're playing, the way they approach the game, you can actually, you know, kind of put you know, an offensive game plan against them that can work in your favor. So I just say, you know, man, give these guys the opportunity to grow before we start talking about these guys just lost causes. That's my only point.
Yeah, I agree with you, TJ.
Yeah,
that's all I got right now, TJ. I know somebody else getting ready to come on, but I just want to come on here and give you my thoughts and my opinion of who's gonna be cornerback number 1 and cornerback number 2 on the upcoming season. So. Yeah. But TJ, you take care of yourself, and hope you feel a whole lot better than you are now, my brother.
Yeah, thank you so much, man, and thank you for chiming in, and call back anytime, Jerry.
Will do, TJ. Y'all be blessed.
You do the same, man.
Okay, man.
Yeah, shouts out to Jerry, man. Yeah, I mean, look, there's no right or wrong about this. You know, like this is what the whole point of this show is. You know, talking about which cornerback you will prefer and why. You know, but like I said, there's no right or wrong. Both of these guys are equally good, and both of these guys are a lot similar. You know what I'm saying, when it comes to their play than you think. You know, because I want people to understand this, right? I know last show somebody said that, you know, I use like certain statistics to try to make Paulson and Adebo stand out. But okay, I'll go a little deeper than that, right? Because Paulson and Adebo played only 2 seasons in the NFL. Alontae Taylor played 1. All right. So here's the thing. I want y'all before we get to Mike, for those that can, I want you to pull out a calculator. All right. This is what I want you to do. All right. So you got Alontae Taylor, only 1 season. According to Pro Football Focus, he had a overall of 54.5, right? Now, Paulson Adebo in 2022 had a score and a grade of 49.1. That's what he had last season, right? But Paulson Adebo in his rookie season, in his very first season in the National Football League, he had an average of 60.3. All right. So if you put that 49.1 plus the 60.3, right? You know, if you add those up and you divide that by 2, that will put him at a 54.7. And Alontae Taylor has a 54.5. So if you're trying to basically grade these two guys based on who is where, they're basically identical, right? You know what I'm saying? So if you take Paulson Adebo's strongest season, his rookie season, and his sophomore slump, and you divide that, you got the same thing as Paulson Adebo. So there you go. Take it for what it is. All right, we're gonna go with Mike. Mike, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
All right, what you got for us, man?
Well, yeah, the cornerback battle, stuff like that. Like, we all know that Marshall Lamb wants to be our number 1 corner. Like, there's no doubt in anybody's mind. But the number 2 and number 3 corners are what we're going to be looking at. And I think you said it perfectly. You know, Alontae Taylor had an amazing rookie season. Paulson Adebo also had an amazing rookie season. Mm-hmm. Yes, he had a slump in his sophomore year, but when have we seen somebody have a sophomore slump and then come back the next year, like, ready to go? Like, that's what a lot of guys like. Like, you're not going to get, like, 100% of your guys playing amazing, like, every year. Like, there's going to be some games where they play like they're the best in the world, and there's going to be some where they play like they're the worst in the world. And some games are decent. So, like, it's hard to, like, say the number 2 and number 3 corners. In my opinion, I feel like Paulson Adebo will still be the number 2 corner. But if he doesn't do great this season, I won't be surprised if we make a switch to Alontae Taylor as the number 2 corner. But the cornerback room is intriguing to me, you know, because it's just like the wide receiver room, man, where you got so many talent, but how good will it be on the field, you know? Because you can have talent in minicamp, you can have talent in OTAs, you can have talent in training camp, heck, you can even have talent in the preseason. But how is it gonna fare in the regular season and if the playoffs? Like, because we need 17-game guys. We cannot have guys that will be good 1 game, suck for the next 5. Good 2 games, suck for the next 6. We cannot have that. We need 100% consistency. That what makes, like, the Darrelle Reeveses, the Sauce Gardners, the people like that, because they always are consistent with their play. Like, yes, they allow a couple touchdowns from here and there, but they're consistent with it. Like, they're not allowing 15 touchdowns a year like some of these guys. So, Paulson Adebo, yes, he had a bad year last year, but we got to put into consideration that he, like, his rookie year, he was consistent, man. Like, there was this one play at the end of the season, or like the last game of the season, the man dove 5 feet and caught an interception. with one hand. So, like, people want to say he had a sophomore slump, and I agree with you. But, like, and I don't really like going, like, in the past too far, but it's things like this where you have to do it because, like, it's one thing if he played, like, 5 years already and he's only had, like, one good year and that was his rookie year. Fine, you have me there. But he's only played 2 seasons. You're acting like this man has played 10 years already. Like, this man has played 2 seasons. Like, he played last season and the year before. Yes, he had some bad plays last year, and I am so sick of those plays. But Paulson and Adebo has trained hard. Like, he's trained, like, in my opinion, like what I saw from him, he's trained hard. So that's what I got. Paulson and Adebo, I think, will still be the number 2 corner. And if he does not do good this year, I won't be surprised if we have a switch. But that's what's on my mind.
Yeah, look, I agree with you, Mike. The thing is, I think both of these guys are extremely talented, but it is too close to call and it's too early in these guys' career for us to just decisively say one is better than the other. And I can understand how people may feel like one guy has like a really good solid season and then there's a drop off. I mean, if you want to be real, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, even with Lattimore first year, if I'm not mistaken, I think his PFF was like 86. And then his sophomore year, he went down to like a 73. So, I mean, he dropped off. I mean, when teams can be able to scheme against you and they can understand your tendencies, they can come up with a game plan. When you're a rookie, man, these teams don't know what you're going to do. Right. I mean, when they get a larger sample size, then they can find a way to scheme against you. But in the meantime, you're going to reap the benefits of being a unknown. And, I look at Paulson and Adebo. I look at his size. I look at his speed. I look at the fact that, he has like really good hands for a cornerback. But I also look at the fact that the dude was dealing with an ankle injury, a high ankle sprain. And that is not something that just going to go away. That's something that lingers along, especially if you haven't had surgery on it or anything like that, which I think he decided not to do throughout the season. So the reality is you're probably going to have, some issues. But at the same time, it's not a reason to write this guy off. Now, if this is, like you said, a reoccurring thing, it happens over and over and over again, at the same time, like you got to do what you got to do. Right. But when you have a guy going to the second season, a guy going to the third season, and you're saying this guy's better, that guy's better, I just think it's too close to call. Mike, you got anything else, man?
Yeah, so I'm going to go off with this, man. Like, I just read the comments, right? And you're saying that Sauce Gardner dropped like 6 interceptions last year. That may be true, but how much touchdowns did he allow? Like, Lattimore has not been known to get so many interceptions. But how much touchdowns does he allow? Sauce Gardner, he only allowed 1 touchdown, and that was not even his fault. Mm-hmm. So, like, yes, I know Sauce Gardner dropped 6 interceptions, but like these corners that are like top of their game, they are not known. Like, a lot of them are not known for interceptions. They're known for pass breakups, which Sauce Gardner does, and they're known for not allowing touchdowns, which Sauce Gardner does. Mm-hmm. Yes, and also, yes, I know my voice sounds exhausted. Yes. All right, you can stop saying that now. But yeah, so yeah, that's what I got, man. Like if I hear one more Sauce Gardner drop 6 interceptions, I might blow up on stream. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I'm not gonna.
Nah, man. Look, don't worry about it, and also don't worry about what the comments say either, man. I mean, people just giving their opinions and thoughts, but I mean. We all just doing that at the end of the day. We all just kind of throwing something against the wall and hope that it sticks. When it comes to Sauce Gardner, the only reason why I'm mentioning him is the same reason why some of y'all praising Alontae Taylor, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same situation. Like if you start your career on a high note, people might start singing your praises, but we don't know exactly what's going to take place the following year. But at the end of the day, even if Sauce Gardner takes a drop back, or fall back a little bit, that's not an indication of what his career will look like. So some guys start off on a high note and they come crashing down, and then some guys, start off on a high note and they get a little higher, so that's just the way that it goes. But I'm not going to be evaluating and saying so. I'm not going to say Sauce Gardner is the best cornerback in the league. I'm gonna say, you know what I'm saying, based on what he did, you know what I'm saying, the sky's the limit for the guy. So that's just the way that I look at it. You know, like you can't just go out here and just say, oh, this guy's the best ever after one season. You know, I mean, how many guys have we seen? We seen RG3. Like if you would looked at RG3 first year, you would have thought he would have been one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Vince Young is another guy. You would have thought that he was going to be like one of the best quarterbacks of all time. You know, I mean, so you got to let these things kind of play out and and evaluate accordingly. But Mike, thank you so much, man. Feel free to call back anytime, man. All right, take it easy. Yeah. Man, shouts out to Mike, man. Shouts out to him, man. He had a good point. You know, he was talking about consistency at the cornerback position. I think that separates the good from the great. When you're consistent at playing the cornerback position, consistent at playing the quarterback position, that's the definition of greatness. You know, like you're gonna have some bad games. You're gonna have some games where you throw an interception if you're a quarterback. You're gonna have some games where you fumble the football if you're a running back, drop a pass if you're a receiver. But when you consistently make plays more often than you make mistakes, then that is the definition of greatness. So as long as you keep that same energy. So let me go ahead and read some of your comments. Let's go with DJ. D say he had a sophomore slump and was dealing with injuries. Yeah, I mean, like I said, someone told me that he was dealing with that injury throughout the season that affected his play, and I believe him. I mean, he in his rookie season, you know, he gave up some plays. Of course, I'm talking to Adebo, but you know, there was a lot of things that took place that I just felt like it had a lot to do with his injury, and I think he's gonna have a better showing. Let's see. 2, I'm glad they're both better than Eli Apple. That's not saying much. Michael knows his stuff. Talk that talk. Yes, TJ. So y'all stop praising Sauce Gardner. It was his rookie season. Nobody's praising Sauce Gardner, but you have to acknowledge what you see. You know, like it's kind of like when we were talking about Marshawn Lattimore in his rookie season. So kind of the same thing. Nobody was like saying like, you know, he's the greatest ever. You know, like not in his first season, but I ain't gonna lie to you, like around 3 and 4, when I seen him locking down some of them corners every single year consistently, I definitely said that he's the best cornerback the Saints ever had, and I still feel that way. I still feel wholeheartedly that Marshawn Lattimore is the greatest Saints cornerback that they ever had. I'm sorry, that's just the way. I've been watching the Saints football for a long time. I've been watching him for a very, very long time. I have never seen one cornerback that for the Saints just shut down the entire field more consistent than Marshawn Lattimore. Now, you got guys that were pretty, you know, that were good and they were solid, but they weren't like, man, I want you to guard this dude all game. And this dude is, you know, got about 6 targets thrown at him and he only catch 1. I ain't never seen nothing like that. You know, not in the Saints uniform. So that's how much respect I got for Marshawn Lattimore. Let's see, TJ, that's recency bias. Rearing his ugly head again in the chat. Well, I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know if that's I think in some cases it is, Keaton Arthur. In other guys, you know, I just feel like maybe they just prefer, because man, it at this particular point, it's not about play, it's about preference. Like if we were talking about, let's just say Alontae Taylor was in his 3rd season playing consistently and Paulson and Adebo was up and down, up and down, up and down, I can understand that a little bit more because you have a larger sample size from Taylor and Adebo for you to come up with this decision. Or, you know, in this case, if Alontae going into his 3rd season, the 4th season, up and down for Adebo, consistent play for Alontae, you got to concede. But going into year 3 and going into year 2, like, how can you do that? How can you do that, man? Like, and both of these guys, to me, like I said, they make big plays and they giving up big plays. Let's see. I'll take Champ Bailey over Revis. Man. That's a tough one right there. But if we talk, well, that's a tough one. That's a tough one right there. Like, I think people tend to forget how great Champ Bailey was when he was like in his prime. Yeah, but Revis, both of those guys are really, really good. It's kind of hard to pick between the two. Yeah, y'all right, TJ. Speaking on Sauce, as you explain, you and Mike use him as an example. Yeah, I was yeah. If you took, like, I'm just looking at him as the like the GOAT or something like that right now. Absolutely not. I just used him as a way of basically just saying, like, how guys can start off. Guys can start off with the jetpack on, you know what I'm saying, headed towards the moon, you know what I'm saying, and then that jetpack run out of jet fuel and they come crashing down Earth, but right now this man is he got the jetpack going, man. He almost in outer space, and if he can put on like another season like he did his rookie year, then he definitely gonna be in that conversation. Now, I will say this, I think a lot of what Sauce Gardner is and what, what they want him to be has a lot to do with where he's playing. He's playing in the New York market, which is a big market, and they love to have the best cornerback or the best player at a certain position playing in those bigger markets. So I do feel like this is me personally. I feel like if Sauce Gardner was the cornerback for the Atlanta Falcons, he would not be receiving as much attention as he is right now. I think he would receive attention, but it wouldn't be on his level. I think that he is good, but is also helping his cause that he plays in New York, because Lattimore was just as good as he was in his rookie season. And even though he won Defensive Rookie of the Year, nobody was really talking about him like that. They was trying to find other guys on the defensive side of the football to give it to other than him. But when the Saints, was winning, you know what I'm saying, they had a playoff performance, he was able to catch some interceptions and neutralize some players that had a name. They had no choice. So, but yeah, I do think that it's like I think Sauce Gardner playing in the New York market kind of helps his cause. I don't think he'll be on the lips of everybody the way that he is if he didn't play in New York. That's just my opinion. Let's see. Did y'all tell Lattimore Happy Father's Day, Mike, that man's son? Let's see. Latty Daddy, he is the best, period. Who that Jerry? Who that fam? Says Keen Arthur, no, but you don't drop 6 picks. Well, look, you play cornerback for a reason. Most guys play cornerback because they're athletic and they can't catch. Like if he was catching passes like that, then they probably would have put him at wide receiver and kept him there. That's just the way that it goes. A lot of these guys can't catch. Cornerbacks, man, they don't have strong hands. Like that's the reason why they play cornerback. Lattimore over Tracy Porter. Yep. Absolutely. Yep. Like, I like Tracy Porter, but to me, he not better than Lattimore. I like him. I respect him, but he not better than Marshawn Lattimore, not in my opinion. I think that, of course, Tracy Porter gave us the greatest moment in New Orleans Saints history. I give him that, but better than Lattimore? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I would not say that. Let's see. It's a reoccurring theme. Rookies take the league by storm. Then a lot of times have a sophomore slump. Teams get that film on. Yep. More games you play, they can break down your tendencies and game plan against you. That's just the way that it goes. Lattimore will forever be a Saint legend for turning our secondary around after those brutal years between 2011 and 2016. I agree with that. Tracy was decent. Had 2 great plays, finished his rookie season before he broke his wrist. I think Tracy Porter was a decent. That's a really good word. A decent cornerback. Was he the greatest cornerback? No. Was he one of the greatest New Orleans Saint cornerbacks of all time? I hate to say it, but that's not saying much. That's not saying much at all. Like that. That's not saying much at all. There's only a handful of guys that you can think of, that that were like really great cornerbacks for the New Orleans Saints, right? I mean, so that's not saying much, but he is not better. He is not better than Marshawn Lattimore. Let's see. Tracy Porter is my Hall of Fame. Come on, dude. Hands down, Mr. Pick Six for the win. Hells yes. Yeah, that's because of what he did. That's because he gave you the greatest feel-good moment in New Orleans Saints history. I'm not knocking him for that. He did that. He gave us the greatest moment in New Orleans Saints history. He gave us two of the most important plays in New Orleans Saints history. The interception that he had off Brett Favre and the pick six to pretty much seal the deal for the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 44. I will never take that away from Tracy Porter. Nothing but respect for the dude. But look, the game is played longer than just two plays. And I just think that, those feel-good moments, kind of put him ahead of the curve. That's my whole point about this Alontae Taylor, Paulson and Adebo debate. It's like, who's giving you that moment that, that sticks? Or who gives you that moment that's most recently, right? Tracy Porter gave us great moments, but to say that he's better than Marshawn Lattimore, to me, is laughable. I mean, that's to me, that's like saying Malcolm Butler is better than Darrelle Revis because Malcolm Butler jumped in front of Russell Wilson's pass and caught the interception and was the Super Bowl hero. Like that's the way it feels to me. Like Tracy Porter, like I don't know, man. And if you think about it, man, them boys were getting worked out there. Like Sidney Rice was working that boy. Like seriously. Like if you go back and watch the NFC Championship game, it was going tit for tat, right? Brett Favre was throwing the ball down the field. Asante Shanko. I mean, Asante Shanko got him, right? Because I know y'all remember Tracy Porter pulling on that man's jersey, you know what I'm saying? Like, stretching that elastic out. And also with Sidney Rice was out there doing some dirt. So, I mean, all I'm saying is sometimes when guys give us those moments, those are lasting moments that, that forever be solidified and forever just embedded and drilled inside our heads. We have a tendency of kind of exacerbating that person, blowing them up, But Tracy Porter, great moment, great cornerback. Nah. TJ got that Steve Harvey cut. Who that fan? Hey man, look, I gotta go to that barbershop, man. Gotta get that haircut. Yeah. But the thing about it is, I'm gonna be honest with you, like since we on this part, man, I just decided, to stop wearing hats for a little while, man, because I heard like it kind of dry out your hair, So I've been shampoo and conditioner as I've been doing, but a lot of times when I put the hat on, I wear hats so much it dry out. So that's the reason I ain't got no hat on today. It has nothing to do with the line, just something I just decided to do, and decided that kind of hold off on the hats for a while because I am thinking about possibly growing my hair off. I gotta see though. I don't think at this stage in my life I can just deal with the ugly stages it takes to grow your hair out. Says is Chase Young deal dead? Nah, I think as long as they don't sign him, they don't extend him, there's still a possibility that they can trade him. TJ got that Street Fighter 2 thumbnail. Yeah, man, that was my whole theme that I was going for. The whole Street Fighter 2 thing. I'm glad somebody caught it. Shouts out to Slim South. Now, I want to say Jerry caught it too. I think Jerry mentioned it as well. Yeah, man, but that was the whole point, of the graphic that I designed today. 2009 was Porter's sophomore season. Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Let's see. No more Randall Gay days. Yeah, Randall Gay was decent as well. Him, Jabari Greer. Jabari Greer was one of the top cornerbacks in Saints history. Once again, I'm sorry, but that's not saying much. It's not a knock on Jabari Greer because he was definitely above average. But when you start thinking and talking about some of the best players in Saints history, you probably going to start mentioning guys that played from 2006 to the present. I mean, that's just how it is, you know. Excuse me. Says, I remember we offered Deion a big contract, but he chose San Francisco instead for 1 year and 94. That was a smart decision. I'm sorry. I know I'm a Saints fan, but that was a smart decision because this team was trash. And at this time, may God bless his soul and may his soul rest, but Tom Benson was cheap. He did not want to pay for talent at all. And honestly, that's the reason why the Saints kind of took a step back. I mean, it was a blessing in disguise when you look at it in hindsight. But in the year 2000, when the Saints went to the playoffs and won and beat the Rams, right? The Saints had a really good defense under Jim Haslett. They had Sammy Knight as the safety. They had Leroy Glover. They had Norman Hand, and they had Joe Johnson, you know, and, you know, they had Mark Fields and all these other guys out there. They didn't pay Leroy Glover. Think about, like, Leroy Glover, I want to say, had 12 or 13 sacks. Joe Johnson, you know what I'm saying? He had double-digit sacks. Norman Hand was plugging up the middle. He had Sammy Knight out there as your enforcer, you know what I'm saying, laying the wood on folk. Didn't pay none of them guys. Sammy Knight went to the Chiefs. Leroy Glover, I want to say, went to the Cowboys. And Joe Johnson, he went to the Packers, right? And with that, all they left around was Norman Hand. You know, and quite frankly, I feel like they left Norman Hand around because, you know, he became almost like the Saints version of William the Refrigerator Perry. You know, like he would just kind of like the face of the team at that particular time. But it was not a good decision. And I think a lot of the things that happened and the positivity that we gained, like from 2006 to the present, had a lot to do with Tom Benson's granddaughter, Rita Benson LeBlanc. Now, I know she has nothing to do with the team now, and that's none of my business when it comes to family affairs, but she definitely did that, right? She was the one that was, you know, pushing to try to change the narrative about the New Orleans Saints. She was the one that was moving and shaking, and I got nothing but respect for Rita Benson LeBlanc. You know, I don't know about all the rest of that stuff. I wasn't there, but I think a lot of the ways of Tom Benson, and especially like when he started getting older, I think he started focusing more on legacy, and he got a little bit more loose with that pocketbook. You know what I'm saying? Like that's when he started giving money to Canton and stuff like that. That's the reason why Canton's Field named after him, and he started giving money and became like a philanthropist. And so I think it had a lot to do with some of the things that took place. The signing of Drew Brees, the signing of Sean Payton, maintaining Sean Payton, maintaining Drew Brees. Because I'm telling you, there would have been a time for some of you younger Saints fans out there, there would have been a time where the Saints probably would have got rid of Drew Brees because he wanted too much money. Seriously. As crazy as that sound, yeah, it would have happened. TJ, does the chat know Tracy Porter was a part of some of our historically bad defenses? Yeah, I think, look, I'm not gonna knock Tracy Porter. Yes, he was a part of those defenses, but like I said, when we talk about comparing him to Marshawn Lattimore, I think Lattimore is better. I'm not gonna say that Porter would chop liver because he was not. I just think that the two plays that have been instilled inside of our minds kind of make us look at Tracy Porter as, better than he actually was. Not to say he was terrible, because he wasn't, but he just wasn't as like awesome as everybody just making him out to be. Like he was on some Revis, Deion Sanders type stuff or something like that. Like he was shutting down the field. He was a good assignment guy. You tell him to, be over here and, make a jump in front of a guy too every now and then. But yeah, but to say he better than Lattimore, that I can't agree with that one. What about Marshawn stiff arm and Porter twice on the Beastquake run? This ain't the part. Look, guys are going to give up plays. Guys are going to not make plays. Guys are going to, things are going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like things are going to happen. But we shouldn't look at this like, oh, this because a guy dropped an interception or a guy missed a tackle. Oh, he's not good. Like even the best players make mistakes. Even the best players drop passes. fumble the football. It just happened. Look, I'm not trying to build. I ain't trying to build up no bad equity, and be like, man, he was good, but he did this. No. We need to hook Traquan up with Mariah so she can leave Zion alone. I'm not gonna touch that one right there. That's for a whole different show. I remember after the Saints won the Super Bowl, they went to the White House. Obama said, I made a lot of decisions, but I never decided to go for an onside kick in the second half of the Super Bowl. Yep. Yeah, that was a pretty gutsy call by him. Excellent example. TJ Ravens had an island named after him. Yeah, I mean, look, that man was on a whole different level. Deion was the best Dallas had by far, but Larry Brown won the Super Bowl MVP. Yeah, I mean, look, that's the whole point. and honestly, you can make an argument and say that Larry Brown won Super Bowl MVP because Neil O'Donnell didn't want to test Deion Sanders' side. Right? You know, I mean, I remember that game. I watched that game. It was on NBC. I'll never forget it because it was the first Super Bowl I actually remember. I'm pretty sure it wasn't the first Super Bowl I was, watching or something like that, but it definitely was the first Super Bowl I can actually remember vividly. It was on NBC, and it was the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Neil O'Donnell was the quarterback. He threw more picks than Razor Ramon that day. A lot of them picks, I mean, honestly, the picks that Neil O'Donnell threw in that game, like any one of us would have been Super Bowl MVP. Seriously. The Pittsburgh Steelers just did not have enough horses in the barn to beat the Cowboys, right? But it had a lot to do with the fact that he didn't want to test Deion Sanders' side, so I'm going to throw at Larry Brown. Larry Brown ended up getting paid by the Raiders, which was a huge mistake. Just like, I hate to say it, I'm probably going to make some people mad out there in Vicksburg because he's from there, but same thing with Malcolm Butler. Malcolm Butler had one play where he was a Super Bowl hero, got himself paid with the Tennessee Titans, did absolutely nothing. Then he ended up going to the Arizona Cardinals, did absolutely nothing. But I ain't mad at you getting money. But it's just one of those things where, guys have those great moments. And then the next thing you know, they out the league. Alvin Harper is another guy, wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys. He was alongside Michael Irvin. Tampa tried to pay him, tried to make him a number one receiver. Didn't happen. Like I said, I mean, you got to allow these guys to play. You got to allow the league to keep turning in order for us to really evaluate these guys fully. Because we might find ourselves looking, I won't say looking foolish, but end up jumping out the window for a guy that don't deserve it. Is that why Sam Mills ended up in Charlotte? I think it was that and the fact that he was getting up there in age. Ain't nobody worse than Brandon Browner. Yeah, that was pretty bad. That was pretty awful. Defensive coordinator Haslett was good. No head coach. Well, I ain't gonna say that, man, because Jim Haslett was a decent head coach, okay? And look, you got to say he one of the best coaches the Saints ever had because, first off, he's the first coach that led the Saints to the playoffs, and they won, right? A lot of times, I think it had a lot to do with the offense. Mike McCarthy didn't do them boys no favors. I don't think that Haslett was that bad of a coach. I mean, when he went to Washington, and Washington went to the playoffs a couple of times with Jason Campbell. So, I don't think he's the worst coach I ever seen. I feel like this, at this particular stage, I would say that Haslett is more of a head coach and a coordinator than Dennis Allen is, right? I'm just being real, right? From what I seen, right? I mean, I want to say Jim Haslett, he's the head coach of the Seattle Sea Dragons in the XFL, or he was this past year. But I got nothing but respect for Jim Haslett, man. Jim Haslett had a really good defensive mind, and just the offense couldn't do anything. TJ, who was the worst player you ever we've ever had at safety? The Saints ever had at safety? I'm not gonna say Jarius Byrd. I think Jarius Byrd was just the fact that the Saints paid him so much money and he didn't play because he was always hurt. Worst safety? Probably Fred Weary. Probably the worst I was in. Fred Weary. I think he probably was the worst. I'm trying to look back, trying to see who the Saints had. That's probably like one of the worst I've seen. You know what I'm saying? Fred Weary was pretty terrible. Somebody said Roman Harper. Now, Roman Harper was not a bad safety. He definitely not. He definitely wasn't a bad safety. Probably one of the best the Saints had. I mean, he wasn't the best in coverage. Like Jamal Adams reminds me a lot of Roman Harper. Roman Harper is a guy who can come down. He's a sure tackler. He's not the fastest guy in the world. I think that was proven when he caught an interception off Sam Bradford, and he let Sam Bradford slow him down. Somebody said Jay Bellamy. Yeah, that's a good one right there. That's a good one right there. Terrell Buckley. Yeah, that was pretty bad. Coming over, I think, from the Patriots. But he was a little bit long in the tooth around that time. He was a little bit long in the tooth. See, I thought Fred Weary was a cornerback. I think Fred Weary was, but I think he played in between corner and safety, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that. Let me make sure I'm saying this right. I thought I remember this dude playing. Let me see. Let's see. He played cornerback. Okay, so he played cornerback a little bit, but I can remember him, if I'm not mistaken, playing both ways. But it could be. Yeah, I think he was a cornerback for a while, and then they tried to move him to safety, and maybe that's what it was. Maybe that's what it was. I think he played safety, and he was corner, but he was so bad they kind of put him at safety, and it didn't make matters any better. I think that's the reason why. Yeah, but technically, yeah, he was a cornerback. He was a cornerback, but I think they did some safety work with him, and it didn't work. Fred Thomas, worst DB point, nobody worse. Jason David was pretty bad too. Let's see. Weary was a safety for the Gators. Yeah, he was. Like I said, he played a little bit of both. Couldn't cover with a blanket. Couldn't stop traffic with a stop sign. Weary got toasted every Sunday. Exactly. I remember I was thrilled when we signed Mike McKenzie because our cornerbacks were so awful. Yeah, I mean, look, he couldn't guard, and I hate to say it, but he couldn't really guard nobody but Randy Moss. But I will say this. I think a lot of his best moments and his best plays were made in Green Bay. And I think that was one of the reasons why, it didn't really pan out consistently with the Saints. But, I mean, he has some moments, though. I know everybody remember that Monday night when he got signed, I want to say on a Tuesday of, the Tuesday leading up to the Monday night game. And he played in the game and shockingly shut down Randy Moss. TJ, what player has the most intriguing what-if story to you, Calvin Johnson, Barry Sanders, or Sterling Sharp? You got to say Sterling Sharp. I mean, because when it comes to Calvin Johnson and Barry Sanders, both of those guys had a large sample size of a career, so much so that they were first ballot Hall of Famers. Sterling Sharp was a guy that was on the cusp of being a Hall of Famer, but unfortunately, he had that neck injury. So I would have to say Sterling Sharp. Sterling Sharp was really good. He was on that level of, those 90 wide receivers like a Jerry Rice, like a Michael Irvin, like he was on that level. And some people would even say that he was better. So I would say Sterling Sharp. I think if Sterling Sharp played a couple more years, I don't think it would have been any debate that he would have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. So, I mean, you got to say Sterling Sharp. Because those other guys, yes, they played for Detroit. Yes, they lost a lot. but both of those guys in the realm of NFL fans and world, you know what I'm saying, the world over, are recognized as the greatest at their position. So, you know, let's see. TJ, your StreamYard link ain't working. I don't know why, man. I don't know why it ain't working. Let me see. As far as what, I don't know why it ain't working, man, to be honest with you. I apologize. They say, I wish we would have got Eric Allen a couple of years earlier. Then it would have been a different conversation, Lattimore or Allen. Yeah, I mean, Eric Allen for the Eagles was pretty good. Eric Allen for the Saints, not so much. Let's see. Sterling was first wide receiver with 100+ catches in the season. Yep. TJ, I'm still annoyed to this day at how Chip Kelly ruined the Eagles team by trading all these key players. Well, I mean, look, Chip Kelly thought he can run a no-huddle offense in the National Football League, and it worked for a couple of weeks. I'll give him credit for that. But when teams start to adjust and coaches start to realize what you're doing, you know, it just kind of, you know, it kind of just kind of flakes out. It's kind of the same thing with the Wildcat. I know y'all remember, like, when Miami brought the Wildcat out and they had Ronnie Brown and they had Ricky Williams running that thing. It was hard. It was hard for anybody to stop it. Then the next year they tried to run that thing, man, you couldn't do nothing. You know, like you couldn't even move that football during the Wildcat. Just the way that it goes. Even Shannon says he is the second best athlete in his family. Yeah. I mean, he even said in his Hall of Fame speech, he actually made a plea to the Hall of Fame committee to consider his brother. And I honestly, I think they should. If you putting guys like Terrell Davis in the Hall of Fame after about 6 years of production, you know, he dealt with them injuries. Like, why not a guy like Sterling Sharp? But I think, unfortunately, Sterling Sharp going to be like one of those guys. Well, I can't even really say that, because as time goes on, you're going to start seeing more people that you recognize and you've seen them play the entire time. And you're going to start seeing guys who are being recipients of the rules. And they're going to have like these big, you know, mammoth type stats. And I just think that it's unfortunately going to just bump Sterling Sharp further and further down. And, you know, it's unfortunate, but I just wish that, you know, they'll consider how good that dude was. TJ, were you a fan of Dorsey Levens? Yeah, Dorsey Levens was pretty good, you know, for the Green Bay Packers. Solid running back, you know, dealt with some injuries and stuff like that. But when he was healthy, he made some plays. He made some plays, man. Yo, TJ, how many safeties do you think the Saints will keep? Probably four. Probably four of them. You're going to keep JT Gray, right, because he play on special teams. You're going to keep Marcus May. You're going to keep Tyrann Mathieu. And I'm pretty sure you're probably going to keep Lonnie Johnson. Guy like Jonathan Abram might be a camp casualty. Hey, TJ, why Brent Jones and Mark Chamorro are not in the Hall of Fame? Mark Chamorro? What?
Hell no. To the no, no, no. Hell to the no.
Mark Chamorro. Brent Jones. Man, what we talking about? Mark Chamorro. Wait a minute. We can't be talking about the same dude here. Man, we can't be talking about the same dude. You got to be kidding me. Man. Yeah, Mark Chamorro, absolutely not. I don't even want to get. I had to think about the dude. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. That Gale Sears is in after, I believe, 6 seasons. Sharp should be in. Well, I think that you have to think about the time when Gale Sears was in there, and you also have to think about certain innovations that weren't in play yet. So that's maybe the reason why Gale Sears is in there. Why? Somebody laughing said, TJ, why are you ignoring my request? I've been wanting to use this.
You is kind, you is smart, you is important.
Just know that you're kind, smart, and important here on the Still Saints podcast. Let's see. Honestly, Josh Hill already qualified as a Hall of Famer for real, for real. Josh Hill, Saints Hall of Fame, Saints Hall of Fame. You got to be talking about that, right? Josh, he's not ignoring you. He just missed it. Yeah, man. Look, I'm sorry, man. I if I'm missing folk. Let's see. Sterling Sharp is still being talked about after all these years, so he should be. Yeah, I think he should be. It may be like one of those things where they always have that one old guy that nobody really remember in this modern era. Probably played in the 60s or the 70s or something like that they put in. I think it's probably going to be like that, unfortunately. But I just hope that he can get in so he can see it. The wide receivers in the 90s were Bananas, Rice, Irvin, Carter, Rison, Sterling, Reed, Givens, Jeffries, Rod Smith, Tim Brown, Herman Moore, Isaac Bruce. Yeah, I mean, the list goes on and on. A lot of talent, a lot of talented players. What Saint outside of Cam that's on his roster do you feel like is another Hall of Fame candidate? I feel like Alvin Kamara is a Hall of Fame candidate. A couple more good years from Lattimore, I feel like he would be a candidate. This might sound insane, but if Taysom Hill can have like 3 more years, I can see him in the Hall of Fame. Like, I want people to like hear me out with this. You got to understand, like, Taysom Hill carved out a lane for himself. He's like a pioneer when it comes to, his position, because he has no position. It's almost like, to me, it's almost like you got to make an exception for a guy, kind of like how I feel about Steve Tasker. Like, to me, I don't think he's in the Hall of Fame, but he should be. Like, Steve Tasker was a special teams ace, like the best special teams player of all time. Like, I feel like you got to start making exceptions for guys like that. Like, you're not breaking the doors down to let a kicker in, but when Justin Tucker retires, he should be in the Hall of Fame. I feel like if a guy carves out a lane for himself, if he becomes a pioneer and he plays for an extended amount of time doing that thing, then I feel like he should be in the Hall of Fame. Like, seriously. Now, I do feel like it's probably going to be like one of them things where, unfortunately, Taysom won't be able to see, or he probably be kind of old age when it happens. But I do feel like based on who he is, like based on and what he represents, and how coaches are now trying to find guys that can replicate what Taysom Hill has done for 7 years. I think you have to give him some credit for that. Seriously. But, you can't just be out here, just running that joint and not going anywhere. But if he can consistently be an offensive weapon for at least 3 more years, that would make him have 10 NFL seasons. And me personally, if you're doing catching passes like a tight end, running the ball in between tackles like a running back, and throwing touchdowns, yeah, I think that should be a place for you. Yeah, see, hold on, TJ. You said Taysom Hill a future Hall of Famer. I didn't say Taysom Hill is a future Hall of Famer. I said if he had like 3 good years, I can see because of his position. And I'm saying, him being a pioneer of that position. But I'm not saying that he's a surefire Hall of Famer. I'm just giving my opinion. I'm not saying he's a future Hall of Famer. I'm saying, like, based on the position that he plays and how it's innovative, and I've never seen a player play so many positions on the field like Taysom Hill has. Special teams, quarterback, running back, tight end, and be effective at every position. Every position Taysom Hill has played, he's made an impact. Rather is running down the field, making a tackle, being the first one to make a tackle. Rather is blocking a punt. Rather is throwing a touchdown. Rather is running a touchdown. Right? Or catching a touchdown. I ain't never seen that. I never seen a guy that multi-talented in my entire time watching football. And I just feel like when guys are pioneers when it comes to that, I think that they should be in the Hall of Fame. Now, I feel like if guys come after him and they kind of replicate that, if they supersede what he does, then yes, they should be in there too. But I feel like when you find a guy who is a pioneer, the godfather of their position, then I do feel like they need to put him in the Hall of Fame. I do. I mean, because how many players can you think about throughout history have you ever seen like Taysom Hill? I haven't. I never seen, like, in my lifetime, I've never seen a guy like Taysom Hill. So yeah, I do feel like if he plays like 3 more years and he's consistent and he is impactful like he has been, yes, I do feel like they need to find a place for him. I ain't saying he should be a first ballot. I ain't saying that he should be a second ballot. I mean, this could be one of those situations where you get passed on and on, but in when teams start to find more guys like Taysom Hill, you got to start looking back and saying, man, you know what? Who's the first guy that really was doing all these things? And it's Taysom Hill. So that's the way I look at it. So, yeah, Steve Tasker and Don Beebe should be in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. I think Steve Tasker, to me, not so much Don Beebe, even though I think that Don Beebe was one of the best slot receivers of his generation. But I definitely would say Steve Tasker. Taysom beat the Seahawks last year by himself. Never mind, Taysom fumbled the ball once. He gets hit hard, then misses the next 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, I don't understand it, man. I just Jerry, everybody get hurt, man. Everybody get injured, right? And if we everybody, I can say for every Saints player that has ever played, no matter how great they are, I can talk about a boneheaded play that they made or a mistake they didn't make. But that doesn't mean that person isn't good. That doesn't mean that person isn't great. That doesn't mean that person didn't make an impact. I just think sometimes, man, we look at a person's shortcomings and that's just not the way to do it, man. And honestly, I think that's kind of funny, that you say that, Jerry, but you're the biggest Jameis Winston fan that's walking the face of God's green earth. So you're bringing up, Taysom imperfection of fumbling, but you will shout from the rooftop how great Jameis Winston is if he throws an interception and if anybody says that he shouldn't be the starting quarterback of the Saints. Not trying to put you on the spot, but I'm just saying, man, I'm just saying, right? We got to be careful about what we're doing and what we're saying, I mean, I know he makes mistakes, but you're a guy. A lot of people make arguments that he makes a lot of them, even though I like Jameis, shouts out to him, shouts out to the team. I'm just saying we got to be careful with that because somebody can hit you with that one right there, buddy. Let's see. Colston holds Saints record for receptions. Yeah, he does, and Colston is definitely one of the most underrated wide receivers of all time. And unfortunately, probably going to be one of those guys that never makes the Hall of Fame. I just think when I wrote an article a couple of weeks ago about Colston when he turned 40. And, I was just saying, I think that what hurt Colston was his quiet demeanor, and he was playing in an era where, the diva wide receiver was being birthed. You had the Chad Johnsons, you had the Terrell Owens, you had the Steve Smiths. You had these guys out here, with the theatrics and the dance moves, and Colston just cross his heart and point up to the sky. That was his celebration. You barely knew Colston exists, but if you need a play, you need a touchdown, here come number 12. But I just think that the lack of Pro Bowl appearances, the lack of all pros, I don't think it was his fault. I really honestly feel like if Marcus Colston had a personality like Michael Thomas, he probably would have gotten more consideration than he did. But I just think that because he was so quiet and, other guys were very boisterous, I just think that it kind of hurt Colston. But Colston was definitely one of the best. He definitely was one of the best. Let's see. That's not true. I'm the biggest Jameis Winston fan in here, but I can tell the truth about him. Oh, yeah. I mean, look, that wasn't a knock, on Jameis at all. I'm just saying, if we're talking about guys' imperfections, we can like say that about anybody. We can say that about Drew Brees. You talk about Drew Brees, you know, and some of the things that he did, you know, but everybody makes mistakes. But I don't think that's a knock or an indicator of a guy's not good or a guy, you know. But I don't know. If a guy has enough built up equity to you know, kind of, you know, for us to look back and be like, man, this dude was a good player. You know, I mean, we got to give him credit. Like, he's a good player. A fumble is not going to be the deciding factor on, you know, a guy not being good or a guy not making a Hall of Fame. Just not. Hey, TJPL Thomas was never the same after getting hit and knocked out of the 49ers game. Yeah, for the most part. And the Saints needed him that game. And I honestly feel like if he stayed in, Saints probably would have had enough to win. TJ, I can see Olave breaking Quiet Storm's record. Yeah. I mean, I can see Michael Thomas breaking, you know, his records. But, I mean, it all depends on if he wants to come back or not. But and receiving yards, not just receptions. Yeah. He has all the same statistical records as a receiver. This team will never have survived without Traquan. Let's keep it 100. Survive without Traquan for what?
Oh, hell no!
TJ, who would scare you most in an open field one-on-one? Reggie Bush, Shady, Corey Dillon, or AP of the bus? Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson, absolutely. Like, Adrian Peterson had really good breakaway speed. He had power. Man, Adrian Peterson was something special when he was younger. Even when he was in Oklahoma, I mean, the dude was like virtually unstoppable. I mean, Reggie Bush, if we talking like USC Reggie Bush, yeah. Shady McCoy, you know, he was good, but I mean, I would say, you know, USC Reggie Bush, Oklahoma or Minnesota, Adrian Peterson, Jerome Bettis, yeah, he would drop that shoulder on you. But if we talking about the open field, I feel like I would be able to catch Jerome Bettis, clip him up or something. Like if he full head of steam. Now, if I'm a safety or something like that and I'm last line defense, yeah, I'll probably be a little bit nervous. But Adrian Peterson, to me, is that guy. He that dude. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, that would be my one. Another good day of life, absolutely. Inevitable. You ain't never lied. Let's see. He's a great guy and very good looking. Says Josh. Thank you very much for the $2. Let's see. If you had to take a hit from one of these safeties, who would it be? Brian Dawkins, John Lynch, or Ed Reed? Neither one of them. How about that? I don't want to get hit by nobody. But nah, I would have to say Brian Dawkins. Like, John Lynch was a pretty hard hitter too. Ed Reed, you know, really solid tackler, but I never really looked at him as like just this ferocious, like you know, tackler. More like a guy who can get the ball and you know, generate turnovers. Definitely was a ball hawk, you know. And I apologize if I'm sniffling, folks. If you just tuned in, I'm a little bit under the weather. Says TJ, Victor Cruz put up some good stats when he was on it with the Giants. Yeah, I mean, is it good enough to make the Hall of Fame? I don't know. We'll see. TJ, even though you're sick with a cold, you still carried on with the SOTS podcast. Thanks, brother Paul. Appreciate it, man. And I apologize once again. I have to say this. I've been coughing. Nose just been running and stuff like that. But definitely wanted to do a show. Definitely wanted to get people's thoughts and views on the cornerback competition that's taking place in New Orleans. You know, thank y'all for being here. Steve Atwater's knocked people block off. Yeah, I mean, he ruined Christian Okoye's career, right? You know, everybody was scared of Christian Okoye, and then all of a sudden, here come Steve Atwater, knock that boy out, and the legend died that day. I think it was a Monday Night Football game. Rest in peace to Ray Lewis' son. Yeah, Ray Lewis' son unfortunately lost his life, accidental overdose, according to sources. That's not the most important thing. The most important, well, I won't say it's the most important thing, but I don't think that should be like the lasting impression of what people remember him. You know, you got to think about, you know, Ray Lewis, a father, you know, losing his son. I mean, man, I can only imagine, you know, how much, you know, I love my son. Everybody know this. Y'all just seen him on camera. I love my son. You know, he's my world. My wife, my world. Like if I was to lose any one of them, man, I'd be lost. I don't think I would be able to go on. So definitely praying for that brother. You know, Ray Lewis and the rest of his family, the brothers and sisters that Ray the third. I want to say he's Ray Jr., if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I mean, all the brothers and sisters he left behind. Man, God bless him. God bless him. TJ takes some NAC. Also, I now have lost 160 pounds. Well, that's great, Josh. You know, great to hear that you you know, you lost weight. You know, that's important. You know, to stay in shape, staying healthy, and keep on that path. Man. That's important. You know, having really good health is extremely important. It helps you to prevent from like having these underlying you know, sicknesses and diseases and stuff like that when people, you know, a certain weight. So that's important, man, to have a, you know, a really good lifestyle. TJ, don't be like actress Viola Davis with the snot. Well, nah, man. I mean, I'm just sniffling. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's running yet. If it was, I'd just, you know, cut the camera off. Overdose, not accident. Don't do drugs. Overdose is, you know, could be an accident. You know, is accidental overdose. Some people look, if you're not a medical professional, I mean, you mixing concoctions together and stuff like that. You know, this ain't like, you know, like what I like to do. I like to do a little, you know what I'm saying, combination when I'm eating chips, right? I don't just eat one bag of chips, I eat two. You know, I mix a little high fries with the white cheddar popcorn or something. You know what I'm saying? Like that ain't nothing. But you know, when we talk about some of these medications and stuff like that, and you mixing these different things together that don't go. I mean, if you're not a medical professional, you know, you don't know. You know, you hear about these things or somebody recommend that. And, you know, a lot of peer pressure out here for these young cats, you know, trying to fit in, trying to act like, you know, act like they own and, you know, they with it. You know, it just was just a bad night at the office, unfortunately. You know. TJ, I feel the same way. I'm wondering if it had to do with sleeping with the AC on, then being out in the heat all day. That it could be. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie to you. You know, I came downstairs and I seen the air conditioning in my house over the weekend was at 66. I'm like, wait a minute. You know, we normally don't keep it that cold up in the joint. You know what I'm saying? But it was like at 66. I'm like, man, what is going on? You know, but I don't know what it is, man. I mean, it could be that, could be, you know, coming in, you know, and being in a cold element like my house. And then, man, we went out to the beach. I was at an event, you know, over the weekend, Juneteenth event. I mean, it could have been a lot of things. Could have been a lot of things. I don't know, but just hate being sick. TJ, who's winning 100-yard dash? Chris Johnson, John Ross, Brandon Cooks, Tyreek Hill, Chris Olave. I would have to say John Ross. I have to say John Ross. I think John Ross ran track 100 meters or something like that, so he probably have a good start, you know, takeoff. Let's see, TJ, his name is Foster Morrow. Yep, Foster Morrow. Yep. That's what I'm gonna put emphasis on his last name since people was like, yeah, his name ain't Monroe. Like all these phonetic professionals out there. NAC completely got rid of my COVID 2 months ago. Yeah. Well, look, I'm all for like just feeling better. I don't care what it is. You know what I'm saying? I just don't like being sick. Chips ain't drugs, TJ. I know it ain't, but I'm just saying though, you know, mixing. I'm just saying I mix different things. I use this example as, you know, I don't think about, you know, the cholesterol combination. I don't think about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, all I'm saying is when you're doing things, sometimes you're not thinking about what can possibly happen. You know what I'm saying? Especially if like people are telling you about these things and they're living to tell you about it. and you combine that with peer pressure. Sometimes people can make mistakes. And, that's why they call it an accidental overdose. Like my wife, for those that don't know, is a nurse practitioner. My wife was to prescribe certain things to a person. I'm saying? She'll be able to know, how many milligrams and all that kind of stuff or what not to mix, but as a regular, a radio broadcaster, podcaster, like I don't know that stuff, So a lot of these kids don't. And that's one of the main reasons why you have such a high percentage of kids losing their lives due to accidental overdose. They don't want to die. They feel like they just want to have a good time, but unfortunately, this is one of those situations where, it ended badly. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. I'm gonna read a few more and then I'm gonna get up out of here, folks. Think the medicine I took wearing off here. Wait, TJ, what did Darryl Green run for? I think he ran like a 4.2 and was fast his whole life, because we know Darryl Green, he played for a long time for the Redskins. Devery Henderson was a sub 4.3, wasn't he? Yes, Devery Henderson was really fast, especially in college. TJ, when you and Big Q going to hook up? I don't know, man. I mean, when we get an opportunity, I know a lot of times, when Big Q and I, talk, a lot of the shows will have to take place on weekends, and I don't know, man. Like at that particular time, I wasn't able to do it because my wife was working weekends, and for the most part, I was at home with Paxton. But now, my wife no longer works weekends. It can probably be easier. And then on top of that, man, me and Big Q, man, we share the same love and passion for boxing. So, I mean, we'd love to like talk, just about other things other than, I would love to talk Saint football, of course, but also with boxing. I mean, anybody that knows Big Q, keep up with him, knows that he's a really good guy. And he's even like greater human being. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think, look, there's a few people that you meet and you talk to and you see them like on screen, and then they're the same person like that you see. Like, and that's not a facade. Like the way Big Q is, that's not a facade. That's not a character that he's playing. Like he's a real legitimately loving, caring person and really passionate about what he does. And I have nothing but respect for him. We love to do love to do a show with him. There's a couple guys like that. Mike Detillier is another. Ross Jackson is another. Steve Weish is another. I mean, so many different people, that you get opportunity to meet behind the scenes and meet personally. Now you see like the type of personality that they have, and you realize like it's just not a facade. They're just the essence of who they are. And Big Q definitely has positive energy. Like when you watch his show, like that's who he is. And I think that's the reason why he's so great at what he does, because it is not an act. I think the biggest issue what people face when they're doing podcasts, if they're not being themselves, they kind of quit or give up, throw in the towel because it's not who they really are. So I don't think it's a coincidence that most people that are successful in the podcast game is probably them, or it's probably them turned up a little bit, but it's still them as a person. Let's see. Adebo did way too much holding. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Let's see. Hit that like button and subscribe to the SOTS on your way out. Yeah, speaking of which, thank you, Ken Arthur. I appreciate that, man. The segue to say that this has been the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it. Much love to everybody here. Shouts out to all those individuals that chimed in, called in on the show, also made the comments. No matter how you contribute to the show, really do appreciate it. You can check out previous episodes that are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. The State of the Saints podcast is also a part of the Belly Up Media Network. And also you can check out Megaphone FM for the State of the Saints podcast as well. Check out gumbopodsports.com. Just put out an article today about Taysom Hill that I want you all to check out, him playing a little bit more receiver. Also, HBCU news. We just started that, as well as college football news that we're going to be plugging for the Gumbo Pod Sports as well. So gumbopodsports.com. And also you can follow me on Twitter at TJAYJones8. Till next time, all I got to say is, who that?
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug. I'm good.